The Raptor was created for a specific shot, a specific distance, and especially comfort. A lot of thought went into the design of the Raptor. We wanted to make a disc comparable to the Zone that just went a little bit further with that consistency. And with the Raptor, I really feel like we accomplished that.
This is the Pro Tour.
Hey, I'm Nate Doss, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm Ricky Wysocki, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
This is the Pro Tour.
I'm Paul McBeth, and this is the Pro Tour.
I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I am Kale Aviska.
Dustin Keegan.
I'm Big Germ, and this is the Pro Tour.
Say it better like you, say it more like you.
This is the Pro Tour.
I'm Sarah Holcomb, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm Eric McCabe, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I am the Pro Tour.
I'm Will Schusterick, and this is the Pro Tour.
How's that cheese? Oh, this is gonna be good.
Thank you, Jeff, and welcome to the fourth and final round of competition here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championship for 2019, presented by GripEq and hosted by Smuggler's Notch Resort. Today, we are contesting on the Par 63 Fox Run Meadows course. This is our lead card, a 2:30 start. In the box first, from Huntington Beach, California, current and 5-time world champion, sporting an 8-stroke lead. Let's give it up for Paul McBeth.
And good afternoon, everyone. We just let that tell the story right there. I'm Valarie Jenkins. Joined with me is 3-time men's world champion Nate Doss. We are excited to bring you Championship Sunday here at Fox Run Meadows at Smuggler's Notch. And we're starting off with an out-of-bounds stroke from Paul McBeth, our leader.
Currently sitting in second place in a tie, from Bremen, Germany, Simon Lizotte.
And as these guys hit the tee pad, they know their leader is OB already, and the opportunity is going to be presented to them right here off the bat. Simon's got it. Oh, it needs to sit, and it's going to be inbounds.
Crazy. Dang, that's so far right.
Next on the tee from Limestone, Tennessee, also with a share of second place. Let's hear it for Chris Dickerson.
And Chris has played very well all weekend long. And from the start, he was off and running out at Brewster Ridge. He had the hot score after round 1, and he has been on the lead card ever since. Let's see what he can do today out here. Oh, and that's going to be on the line. We'll have to see how that ends up.
Yeah, and we saw the spotter just holding up an X with the 2 flags, which means it's unclear. It's going to be very close. Nikko bringing some love to the course here with his big heart shirt.
He's popping one out there. That is a pretty safe play in the middle of the fairway. And Nikko said he's always bringing the love. He might not always show it. We are actually going to throw it on to our on-course commentator, AJ Risley. He's going to give us some live action as we see spectators just gathering up behind the lead card.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody out there on the YouTube universe. My name's AJ Risley, out here at the Fox Run Meadows course for the final day of the Green Mountain Championship. Man, a little bit of clouds in the sky. The sun's kind of poking out. You can kind of see on my face here a little bit of sun. The mood out here, let's be real. I mean, it's Paul McBeth's tournament to lose. The other three competitors on the card are feeling loose. They're feeling a little aggressive, but they do know that they got players behind them who are also trying to make a charge. It's anyone's game out here. Let's see, with a little bit of wind, anything could happen. Back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, big thanks to AJ. The clouds have come in from this morning. It was much more clear this morning for our ladies competitors. And we could hear, as AJ was talking, a lot of breeze, a lot of wind.
Right.
And we're going to see the entirety of 4 interviews from these competitors here in just a few holes between 3 and 4. And there's a lot of things that I take away from those. One of the things is that Lizotte said that there's a lot more wind today than there was on Friday, and he really thinks that the best score could be a 3, 4, 5, 6 under. So I don't know if that's the case, but right here off the bat, all 4 players dealing with wind and not a normal decision off that first tee pad. I think the obvious statement is that McBeth, that he has an 8-stroke lead, and I'm gonna bring up some statistics here in just a little bit that will just absolutely boggle your mind. That's got to get down, and it does just fine. So Nikko's going to have a birdie opportunity there. So we'll bring up some statistics about final rounds and really the year that McBeth is having. But I think the players, all of them are in good spirits to still be able to come out here and make a charge because they know that anything is possible.
We know. Ooh, and we can see this disc right here, right on the line. I see a lot of white paint.
Bump up that audio. That's OB to me.
And it's a thick white line.
Even if it was stake to stake, I think it might be OB by like an inch.
Okay. I just want to get y'all's opinion. So is it the red stakes or where it went out?
No, you take it where it went out. Or the drop zone's way back there.
Okay.
Because you went inside this. Yep. Inside this. So you could...
Okay.
Right, so we heard McBeth say the option was last place inbounds or drop zone. And it seems as if Chris will take it there. Boy, it's tough lie, though. There was a bunch of trees right where his disc was OB.
And just barely out of bounds, too. The line is out of bounds, so it does have to cross over into the inbounds grass. And we did see that it was laying just on top of the painted grass. And we're heading over to the other side of the fairway. And Paul McBeth is out of bounds over there.
Yeah, so a little confusion here. I'm not sure what they're necessarily confused about.
Simon just yelled out.
I could have a wrong memory on this. I could be wrong. Maybe
Yeah, I thought that was so.
I actually don't remember. You never
I mean, the sign says drop zone. Play the position.
And just so everyone.
Yeah, so the thing really is the big question is mainly what are the rules? And we saw, and Val's pulled up the rule book. So let's hear what the rules actually are here.
OB surrounds the fairway and green. Throws from the gold/blue tee must come to rest inbounds. If not, either play from where last inbounds, or you may use the drop zone provided at the white tee.
So, yeah, exactly right. This morning, we saw Haley King not even get to inbounds. She moved forward to the drop zone. And so this is all kind of for nothing. I think Simon was mentioning that he thought maybe it was for sure drop zone. And I think now the players are just waiting for Jeff Spring, the TD, who's, probably not that far away as he was just at the first tee, to give an answer. But we know if you just look at the rule book.
And this goes to show, I mean, these guys haven't seen anybody in their groups go out of bounds on this hole for this year at least. So just going off of the memory from last time. But yeah, he should be taking it from here where he last went inbounds. He's gaining 100 feet from the drop zone, which would be behind him. He does have the choice, but this allows him to move up the fairway, get a little bit of a shorter upshot.
Yeah, and that's the reality here that we're seeing happen. And you just saw Chris drop his mini. That basically Chris took his mark where he went in out of bounds, and then was able to take it straight back as far as he would like on the line of the basket. So now the question is where is the basket and where is that line? Looks like McBeth sort of helping Chris a little bit here. And it's actually going to give him a few feet to the left. And so we're kind of getting everything here on the first hole. It's always weird when things start out like this. It really is. Everybody's hot, ready to go, warmed up, and then we've just been standing around here for a few minutes.
Screeching halt. People don't know what to do. And I've never seen this play. I've never seen this rule change come into effect. And so this is really interesting. I mean, you were talking about his stance being a little blocked by those trees that he went out of bounds at, and now allowing him to pull his shot back and get a better stance. I mean, it's all according to the PDGA rule book right now. And so using it to his advantage.
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? He'll have no idea that happened until he sees that red flag that the spotter just held out. Oh, he was inside the circle. You can see the orange line there. Wow. All I can say is wow. Oh.
So with everything just being so tense and so tight up here on the lead card, and knowing what players on the second card and third card are wanting to do today, every one of these strokes matters. And now Chris Dickerson is 2 throws in, 2 out of bounds shots.
And the crowd will have no idea what McBeth just did, which is essentially throw his upshot to the lock. He's probably, if he's not touching the basket, he's very close. So McBeth's going to drop in par here. It looks like Lizotte's going to do the same. He's got a beautiful speed there. And so while Dickerson's going to take 2 OBs, Locastro's inbounds for a birdie putt. Lizotte's up there for his birdie opportunity. And it looks like Simon's going to take the early little miniature tournament that Dickerson and him are having.
And speaking of second and third card making runs, we see a hot score right now out of Chris Clemens. He's now on the 6th hole. He's 5 for 5.
Yeah,
so he is on a tear, shooting perfect golf to this point. So he has bumped himself up 5 places already. He's now sitting in 2nd place.
Right. Wow. 5 for 5. What a start by Chris. Kind of a name we've mentioned a bunch, but we're just, throughout this tournament, but now he's really just shot up there. Martin Hendel has done the same. He's 5 for 5. Now back in 5th place. But here's the putt by Nikko. This is for birdie. Yep, and he steps through and it goes right in. He thanks the crowd, and That's a nice start for Nikko Locastro, who really does need to play well today. There's a lot on the line for Nikko. Not only a high place, as he's in good position to potentially take second place here in this tournament. Yeah, of course, first you never know, but that would be Nikko's best finish this year in these big events, and a really nice bit of confidence going into what is in just a few weeks the most important stretch of the year with the USDGC and the 2 tour finals coming up. So now we have Chris Dickerson for bogey. Yep, he's thrown only 2 shots to this point with 2 penalties. And he's going to be able to get that bogey. You got to remember, Chris Clemens did not start well on hole 1 in the second round. I think he double bogeyed this first hole that round. So another tough start for Chris. Dickerson. Chris Dickerson. Let's get it right. These 2 Chris's are getting me. All right, so Lizotte's got his birdie in. And I was just looking at the stats. Dickerson did double bogey this hole 1 in that first round, and McBeth's going to tap in for par. All right, hole 1's in the books. We can get going now. Jeez. I need a shower, man. So let's take a look at hole 2.
Hole 1 is definitely that par 4. Hole 2 kind of eases up a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly does. Well, now it's going to be back into the headwind. It's just it's a birdie hole, 270 feet through the trees. You just got to avoid going left or right. A dead straight shot is the call here. It does slightly slope away from the players as it goes away, and the tall grass is out of bounds here on hole 2. So still birdie opportunities. Obviously, we're seeing Chris Clemens go 5 for 5 to start his round. And so all of these birdies are available for our players.
Oh, and this is a beautiful shot from Simon. Absolutely perfect line as it skids up underneath the Disc Golf Pro Tour pyramid basket. And that's all you got to do. Just pop it on that line and let the disc do the work. And stabling out a little bit too much, but Nikko just proved he's able and capable of making big putts. And he's dialing them in. That's what's keeping him in this mix in the lead card.
And McBeth's got too much stability on this one. It's going to be high left, but it sneaks through. And that's pin high, very makeable putt for McBeth. This is really, of all the putting performances, this has been one weekend for the books, for the ages for McBeth. He putted extremely well at the MVP, but I think this one's even better. He's made everything he's looked at. Oh, and Chris has got that lined up perfectly. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh my goodness. He's safe, but geez, it's been a tough start for Chris Dickerson. Let's take a break. We'll catch up in a sec.
Passion is more than fiery emotion. It feeds the spark to start your day. It fuels your obsessions. It inspires your dreams. Passion challenges your fears, and it repeatedly bathes you in sweat until you are transformed into a new, better you. Disc golf isn't just your passion. It's ours too.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway by accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
And Chris Dickerson is living on the edge right now. He's going to be walking over to his lie, and I believe that everybody confirmed that is inbounds. Oh, and isn't this interesting?
I don't see how this is going to work. I don't think he has enough.
Is it because of that the little drain right
Yeah,
there,
there's a
maybe making the
drain.
footing strange? But he's got to keep his heel up.
Right. So he's outside the circle. So that's where this is coming into play. So it doesn't even matter for him. And I think actually the way he marked it, it looked like he wanted to stay outside the circle.
I think that's absolutely the case.
And unable to put that in the basket. So trying to utilize that step putt there for Chris Dickerson. He's not going to be able to pick up that birdie. Of course, he wouldn't have been able to see that pickup and roll. The worst 3 words in golf: you're still out. Yeah, Val, it certainly seemed like he was thinking a lot about the footing on that one. I would take my full meter and do a regular putt.
Yeah. I mean, his setup is different from a standstill as opposed to that step through, which is the way he had to be on his toes the entire way. You knew that he wasn't comfortable with that stance.
A par for Dickerson. Yeah, we're going to have to start charging Nikko for some data charges here. He stands over those putts for so long, but he did that on the first putt. He was able to cash that one in. He's able to do it there. So he's obviously got some kind of routine worked out in his mind. We typically do not see these players stand over the putts all that long.
You had mentioned Paul McBeth making everything. He's 100% for putting, and that continues that perfect Circle 1X putting stat for this weekend.
Yeah, so the statistics is he's made everything 1X.
He's literally made every putt.
Inside the 1X circle.
Yes.
I didn't even look at that stat, but geez, that's the first incredible stat for Paul McBeth. And here we are, hole 3, 285 feet. Up and through this gap, really the big challenge here is that the hole really pulls everything to the left, and you kind of want to throw a flip-up shot that goes straight and almost fades a little bit to the right. The one danger here by the green is that it slopes away behind the basket and goes towards the out of bounds, which is very close to the basket and very possible to reach. So that's hole 3. And so there's stat number 1 for McBeth, 100% Circle 1X putting for the entire weekend. That's incredible.
And even with this putt that he just made on hole 2, the footing, it was kind of awkward. He wasn't really sure how to approach it and how to stand, but then instantly gets set up and just fires it in.
Right.
And that's what we've seen out of his putting stroke this entire weekend. This is what we saw out of the MVP Open a couple weeks back. Just so smooth and consistent and just firing them at the basket.
Now, most people would say if they made every putt within Circle 1X, that was a putting weekend of a lifetime. McBeth would probably, oh, look at this. Never seen this before. And where's it going to fall?
Right there.
Fell right there. So he's inbounds, safe. He's going to have a long... Wow, and Locastro's looking at doing the same thing.
What an interesting play. Why do you think they're going that route?
It must be the wind. That's the only thing I can think of that the wind is better. I've over all the years I've played, I've never seen anybody do this.
Well, now there's two.
And Locastro comes down short also. And you're just sort of playing a game of really just luck. You throw it up there and see where it lands. McBeth's going to take the more traditional route here. Well, maybe not. See, they must be feeling the wind. It's like he's gone for a little bit more stable disc. Oh, he's got it right up the gut. Oh, right. Oh. Let's see what happened here. Can't tell if it hit our cameraman, but it did stay in bounds. So he's going to be safely in bounds there.
And this will be interesting to see the odds. We've got two guys that went out and around big sky hyzers.
Mm-hmm.
You see Paul McBeth go up the gut. Chris Dickerson's going to go up the gut as well.
And Chris just out of sorts here.
So I don't know what the play is, but we'll find out in a second. First, a quick break.
Today, we'll be talking about the Nuke. The Nuke is a wide-rimmed, fast, maximum distance driver. When throwing on a wide-open course with the Nuke, I'm using it to unleash maximum backhand distance potential. Due to its slim profile and wide rim, the Nuke also fits really well in the hand when throwing sidearms. If I'm looking to throw down some boom sauce, I'm going with the Nuke. You can pick one up at Discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
And here we are seeing where Chris Dickerson landed after his drive. Going for the up the gut route. He's off on the left-hand side of the fairway, and still you can see a few trees in his way. Oh, wow, but very nice upshot. It's all about speed control as you're approaching the basket. You can see that checked up really nicely, just short of the basket and skipping in.
And there we go. Look at that. Martin Hendel, Chris Clemens, 6 under par through 6. And here in just a second, you're going to hear Simon Lizotte predict that 4, 5, 6 under would be the hot score. And these guys are 6 under through 6. Of course, we know hole 7 is the start of the challenging portion of that front 9, as 7, 8, 9 are all super tough out in the wide open. So here's Locastro. This is a tough position, and we've seen from here how that OB long comes quickly into play if there's a missed putt from this location.
And Nico's putt is feeling good, so we do know that he's likely running it, and with the time he's taken right now, it absolutely looks like he is.
Oh. And it's hit that tree there, and it's going to be safe, so no worries for Nikko. Of course, he wanted to make that putt, but it could have been a lot worse. And now this is what Simon's doing. He's looking, and this is almost a delay tactic. I've done this 1,000 times. You're trying to convince yourself to go for it. He knows he should lay it up, but he's trying to convince himself to go for it. And that's what that little walk up was for. Of course, you know the OB's back there. Nothing to look at. Oh, and he hit the tree. And he's rolled. He's hit the next tree. So he's still in bounds. He thought he had it.
He thought he had it, but just by a quarter inch maybe hits that tree. And as soon as it hit that tree, Simon knew that the risk of going out of bounds was very high. Thankfully, he gets hung up on that tree and saves him from that one OB stroke.
And again, you are still out.
Do you think Simon's regretting going for that now?
Well, I mean, and again, I've done this 1,000 times in my career. You know what's back there. You know there's nothing in the way all the way to the OB. But Simon's also feeling like, hey, I got to keep the pedal to the metal because I can't lose strokes. I can only gain. He's kind of put in a position to not do anything else. Oh, and barely up and over that rim. A little sigh of relief.
What a great save.
Yeah.
And he's going to need to keep that confidence. He's going to need to run for putts throughout this entire round. And he's got to be confident that he can make that comeback. So here we have Paul McBeth with confirmation that he did not hit our cameraman out there. Mo is doing the catch cam. Keeping those stats alive. There's Paul McBeth for his birdie.
Yeah, keeping him alive, that's for sure. I mean, with this whole commentator, curse thing, I think we could start accepting some money from the other players. But the curse not coming into effect there. That's a beautiful putt by McBeth. Continuing to keep that 100% 1x putting going. It's Chris for par. And after we see this last tap in by Nikko, we're going to go ahead and roll the interviews from our competitors as they walk to the fourth hole.
Yeah, and we got to give a shout out. We do have Madison Walker, who did the interviews this morning as well as this afternoon, and it's pretty fun to hear what these players were thinking about before the round. So let's throw it over to that, and we'll catch up with you guys in a few minutes.
I'm out here with Paul McBeth just before the final round of the Green Mountain Championships. We're heading into Fox Run, and you've got an 8-stroke lead. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I felt like I made some mistakes on this course 2 days ago, so hopefully capitalize on those today. And the wind's up a little bit, but that's pretty normal out here.
Yeah, definitely to be expected on this wide open course. You've got the same card that you played with yesterday. Do you feel pretty comfortable playing with those card mates again?
Yeah, it was pretty fun yesterday, so hopefully, we kind of keep that same energy going. I think we're feeding off each other pretty well. When someone get a good break, everyone would laugh about it, and vice versa. So hopefully feed off that as well today, and keep it in bounds, I think, is the goal for all of us.
Yep, it's nice to have a relaxed card out there, especially in this little bit of a nervy situation. But I'll let you get back to your warm-ups, and thanks for chatting with us just before. We'll catch up with you, I'm sure, during the round a bunch of times.
Thank you.
And we'll check it back to the action. We're out here just before the final round of the Green Mountain Championships. I'm here with Nikko Locastro. He's sitting in 4th place right now, 10 back from the lead, 2 back from 2nd place, where Simon and Chris Dickerson are tied. How are you feeling?
It's a little chilly out, but I'm trying to bring the heat out there on the course today. I remember last time on Fox Run I got on a run myself, but I'm hoping today to just execute a little bit better and not leave too many strokes behind, because I need everything I can get. We're planning to get some world-class players out there on the course today, and not just on the lead card, but there's a lot of players that are in tight contention right now, so I'm just going out there to try to blaze the course.
Maybe they'll call this course Nikko Run instead of Fox Run after today.
I hope so. Maybe I could set a course record. Who knows? I mean, it's a little bit windy, but it's disc golf, so you never know what's going to happen till you're out there doing it.
Are you thinking you're going to go a little bit more aggressive today, or are you going to play conservative and just try to keep it between the ropes?
10 strokes is a lot to catch, especially from Paul right now. He's been on a tear all year long, so it'd be tough to catch those 10 strokes realistically. But who knows? I mean, if I catch 4 or 5 on the front nine, and things could get away from anybody out here. I don't care how good you are. There's a little bit of wind, and there's OB on almost every hole. So it's a very technical and challenging course. It has longer holes where you have to play the par fours safe on your first shot just to be in position. So I'm just going out here try to execute to the best of my ability. That's all I can do today.
A lot of the greens are definitely guarded by trees. Rollaways have happened. I've watched them happen all day long, so we're hoping that's going to not happen a whole lot.
Not happening. No more rollaways, no spit outs, just clean disc golf today.
He's bringing the love, if you can't tell by the shirt. Anything else you want to say?
That's it. I'm glad that everybody's tuned in, watching the disc golfers out here in Vermont. It's a beautiful place to be. If you haven't been here, come check it out. This is where you want to be this time of year. I promise.
Yep. I hope you guys enjoy everything today, and I'm going to throw it back to the booth, and I'll catch up with you later on.
Oh, Jamie Mosier? No, he's up in the clubhouse. That was a big deal.
I got a 3.
The final round at the Green Mountain Championship with Simon Lizotte. We're heading into a course so you've been here every year since 2014. Are you feeling pretty comfortable with these courses by now?
Nope. No, especially in these conditions. I mean, today's even windier than we had round 2, so it's going to be a whole different game out there. Throwing only overstable plastic probably, and just trying to somehow keep it in bounds and get pars. I think a hot round will be maybe a 4 or 5, maybe a 6 down, but yeah, if I can score under par, then probably Paul's going to shoot like 5 over, so that should do it.
Well, that took away my second question. I was going to ask you if you were going to go aggressive or play a little bit more conservative out there, but it sounds like you're going to go with the conservative method in the wind.
I mean, Paul's leading by 8, so we don't have to kid around here. It's playing for second place, kind of. See what Nikko, see what Chris is doing. Also got to check out second card a bit. But out here, it's playing safe. I think that's going to win the game, so that's my game plan.
Yep, definitely. Keep it in the middle, keep it out of those OB strokes, and that is the way to play. Do you have anything else that you want to add about today going into your final round?
I want to give a shout out to Nate and Val stepping up once again, dedicating 8 to 10 hours of your day out here commentating, and you guys are awesome. Thanks.
Yep, I'm sure the audience loves you as much as we do, so we'll throw it back to you guys.
And I absolutely love hearing the interviews with Simon, and you're welcome, Simon. We love doing all this type of commentary. I mean, hey, lead card every day. Playing pretty well, Val.
Yeah, we're not doing too bad.
But the big thing I take away from what Simon said is what he thinks the hot rounds are going to be. Of course, he said, if I shoot a few under par and McBeth shoots 5 over, now that's unlikely to happen, but so far, it seems as if the wind has almost died a little bit. We don't see a lot of movement with those trees. So we'll see what happens there.
And so we saw, while we had that picture-in-picture, we saw that Nikko landed behind the one solo bush that is in the landing zone. Paul McBeth actually hit it. He's behind it as well. We've got all 4 players off the tee. We'll see how they line up the next shots in just a minute.
Okay, huge news, guys. The new DGA Rift has so much glide that it just broke the national MTA record by 37 hours. Go get one for yourself at discgolf.com.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
And we're back in the booth, and got to give a shout out to Zuka Carts for the Zuka replay. We love seeing those. So hopefully
Roll
we'll
that
catch
Zuka replay, huh?
Hopefully we'll catch a few more great shots, and we'll keep those Zuka replays going. And so far we're off to a great start. I think the lead card is starting to get on that birdie train. We know the other cards are lighting it up.
Yeah.
We've got some course records possibly being tracked down, but yeah, so far you said the wind's dying down a little bit. So this is kind of setting the stage for those course records to be broken.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we heard Lizotte say that he felt like the wind was worse than the other day. So far, that has not been. We don't have any evidence of that at this point, as Chris Clemens is still playing hole 6 or waiting to play hole 6 at this point. But he is at 6 under par through 6 holes. Wysocki 4 through 6, and McBeth picked up 2 early birdies. Now here's stat. If you have any question about, McBeth and how well he's been playing here in 2019, some of these stats I'm going to bring up are just mind-boggling to me. I mean, he'd probably say he's had an okay season. McBeth has played 18 events this year, and 19 on his, and I can only go off what's on UDisc. So he's got 19 events on UDisc, but 18 of them are stroke play events. He's won 12 of those events. Of the last 5 that he's played, he's won 4. So just think about that. Think about that for a second. It's absolutely incredible what he's been able to do here in this season. Obviously, the most talked about player in disc golf. He's just got it inbounds, barely. That big swooping sidearm.
That was a really tough position, but I think he's fortunate to get it inbounds. That's still going to be inside inbounds. We'll see if it's inside the circle to keep that stat alive.
Right.
Wow. Talk about stats. That winning percentage is very high. I mean, it's unbelievable, but at the same time,
believable.
Completely believable. Paul McBeth has been on quite a tear this year.
I think we're always comparing Wysocki to McBeth. I think that right now, and Nikko just trying to line up within his legal stance, we always compare Wysocki to McBeth, and they were both in the news. And here's Paul helping Nikko. And they both changed companies, both Wysocki and McBeth. And, Ricky's had a good season. I mean, he's had a solid season. He's got a couple of wins on tour. He's played well, but he's also had some sort of up and down finishes as well. And McBeth just hasn't had that issue this year. And we'll see. I think this battle between those two is going to go on for years. Boy, and the stance conversation with Nikko is still going on in 2019. I've had a few conversations with Nikko about that myself.
And this is so interesting. I mean, the way that he's got to line up, where's he going to get this power from? He's a little off balance.
He did keep his feet in place, which is impressive. And he threw in a pretty impressive shot. So inbounds with a birdie putt upcoming. Yeah, roll it. Roll it. Okay, as Val said, where's the power coming from? It's his core. Keeps so stable.
Yeah, his feet did not move, like you said. And that was the thing. He kept lining it up to where maybe the pads of his toes would have been behind the disc. And then he was lining it up to where like the top of his toes were going to be behind the disc. And I'm thinking, man, there's just going to be no power out of that back foot.
Right.
And so, again, just a little adjustment, Paul helping him, making sure his stance was legal, because that was such a far reach around that tree. So really nice shot. I mean, that's keeping him in it right there. He's going to have a look at a putt for birdie.
For sure.
And here we have the leaderboard pulled up. And there's Ricky's name just climbing up.
Yeah, you can see he's 4 under through 6. As I mentioned, he's playing hole 7. Clemens and Hendel, who I think are playing together, have completed hole 7. Martin took the bogey, and Chris stuck in there with a par.
Right.
So he's keeping that hot streak alive for sure.
Let's throw it back to the action. Nikko is already on his lie. And here is this putt for birdie.
And Nikko just getting way too much air under it. He's gone just a little bit past. Nikko is, by the way, the most competitive person I've ever come across. He wants every single shot to be perfect, no matter what the scenario. And here's Lizotte for his birdie opportunity.
Wow. And with his back foot on the top of that rock, he's able to get enough power forward and right in the heart of the chains. Nice birdie for Simon. Wow, and isn't this interesting? Look at the flag on the top of the basket, but look at that Discraft flanner in the far distance.
Yeah. Oh, and now it's starting to whip up here too. The winds are moving across the Fox Run Meadows.
We have 4 flags letting us know what the wind's doing, but I have no idea.
Yeah,
I bet
agree.
it was probably pretty hard for Chris to tell as well what the disc was going to do as soon as it left his hand and leaving it just a bit short.
Nikko able to cash that in, but more importantly, McBeth's going to move around to his spot here. Wait, he must have threw an invisible disc because we did not see that come in, but he's pretty much parked. That's a tap in for his birdie. So he'll go now 3 of 4 to start this round. And we're going to, as soon as Chris taps in, we'll head over and check out the whole preview for number 5. Really a fun hole, number 5. It's a downhill par 3, 445 feet. And just what a view it is and what a tough hole it is. This gap that our drone provided by Gatekeeper Media is going to fly through is the one the players are trying to go through as well. With a forward pressing hyzer through that, down into the low, use that side hill below the basket as a backstop so it can take up all that speed from the high speed overstable discs. And so while it looks very daunting from the tee pad and can be, I mean, you get into the water, you throw OB, all of a sudden the hole gets much more difficult. But it is definitely one that our players are going to be wanting to get.
Absolutely. And you go sailing into that water, it drops off pretty quickly. So it's tough to get your disc back. And if you're throwing that overstable driver, you probably need it on the holes that we have coming up in the wind. And there are the stats right there. 6th hardest today.
Yeah, 13% inside the circle and 13% making birdie. So if they've gotten inside the circle, they've been able to cash in on that birdie. But I didn't catch what the OB percentage is here. I'll just pull it up on another screen of mine. But yeah, it's let's see here, 50%, 50% OBs.
Wow. So
Yeah.
flip a coin.
Yeah, flip a coin whether you're going to land OB. Now, of course, this is a deep field. There's a lot of players out here, and some guys that are a little bit lower or higher in score for that matter. So here's McBeth asking for it to get down now. Ooh, and he hits the branch. hits the branch of the tree in that middle clump and stays inbounds.
Stays in bounds, but pretty short. He'll just have a chip up underneath the basket. Opens the door for any one of the players in his group to gain a stroke.
Yeah, I don't like this height. You're right. Don't like the height because that's bringing the lake into play, and that's going to be OB. Yeah, you can't throw it that high. It just doesn't. The lake is just looming on the left, and as soon as Lizotte released that, I didn't like that one. So Nikko going to try to make the adjustment. And again, it's really tough for us to tell where the wind's coming from because of the fact that we don't have a lot of reference here on the tee. But McBeth barely got it to that center clump. Lizotte was short of pin high and OB left. Nikko's going to take it wider on a lower line. This brings in the right-hand clump. He's going to have to get lucky. And he's gone way into a different fairway completely. And so he's going to be in that's actually the fairway of hole 9 that he's over there in, I believe. So he's OB and he's going to be left way back.
So to keep the stats the same, that means Chris Dickerson needs to throw it safely in bounds.
Yeah, true.
Got Paul McBeth in bounds. Simon's out. Nikko's out. Let's see what Chris is going to do.
Chris has got it really high as well. Much more stable disc, and he's got it inbounds safely, but he's a long ways away from the basket. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, we're out here, Bootlegger's Basin just behind me. 3 things: we got a little bit of weather, we might see some rain here in a few minutes, but only for a little bit. Second thing, got a pretty good gallery. They're making a little bit of noise. Third, there we go. My bad. Third thing, a lot of cameras out here. As you can see, Nikko asked a couple camera people to move. We got like 9 video cameras, a bunch of still cameras. You guys are going to see all the action. Back to you guys in the booth.
So Nikko throwing his shot and AJ razzing Nikko, but Nikko able to execute an absolutely beautiful shot there. Interesting to hear AJ say we have some weather on its way. I saw some raindrops streaming across the camera that was on AJ. So potentially some sprinkling going to start happening. And while I have just this second here, I'm going to bring up the next impressive stat, and probably the stat that to me shows that McBeth with an 8-stroke lead is nearly unsurmountable. If we think about this from the perspective of just the final rounds, we're going to take out all of the other rounds. By the way, since the European Open, the worst round that this man right here, Paul McBeth, has thrown is a 3 under par, and it was in the penultimate round of the European Open. But if we just take the final rounds that he's played since back at De La Viega at the Masters Cup, his worst score is a -5 in a final round. That was back at De La. Since then, he's gone 10 under, 11 under, 11 under, 11 under, 10 under, 9 under, 9 under, 6 under. Think about that. The average there, is, let's just call it 10, maybe 9 with the 5 and the 6. So if he just shot his average final round, it would take a 17 under to, to even tie the guy. So statistically, people think about that. Think about his final rounds. That was 11, 11, 11, 10 in his 4 final rounds in a 4 tournament stretch. That is unbelievable. And it just goes to show you that his ability in the final round is unlike any other player ever in the history of this game.
That is so incredible. I mean, he knows when to get it going. He knows when he needs to dial in that focus. And when he does, he is unstoppable. And so far, we're seeing him hold on strongly to this lead. And he just keeps it coming. We see the raindrops falling down now. With the storm coming in, a little bit of that wind. And this is never fun to have it raining on a course where it's wide open. You don't have any cover. You don't have any trees to really hide underneath. And when you have to rely on that grip being really solid, you have to make sure your discs are nice and dry because you can't afford to have an early release or a late release or shanking any drives. And you're just going to keep giving up strokes if you do. So we'll see how this plays out.
Let's take a look at the other view, Johnny, because I want the fans at home to be able to see, look at the rain on the lake. So it doesn't look strong from our cameras, but it's a heavy drizzle is what I would call it at this point. Ooh, and Lizotte tapped in for par. That was McBeth for par. Here's going to be Dickerson that was Lizotte for bogey, Dickerson for par. And that's hole 5 in the books. Let's go over and take a look at hole 6. Hole 6 is a very gettable hole. Just 290 feet back up the same hill we just played down. It really is a sidearm hole, and I would expect all 4 players to throw a sidearm. Has all to do with height here. Really, the basket is blind to our players at the tee pad, but if you get enough height on the disc, then speed is really not a problem. If you throw too low and you have too much speed, you're going to carry it straight out of bounds and really not enough time because it is playing uphill. So that's hole 6, 290 feet.
And so much out of bounds. Take a look at the course map there that we pulled up, just out of bounds, circling the entire fairway. And here's a tricky hole. I mean, this hole requires so much touch as you're throwing it. And now with the rain coming down, this is making a birdie hole even more tricky. But with that sidearm, you're going to full power shot up there, full hyzer shot. It's going to make it a little bit easier for these throwers.
It truly is. It truly is. Now, as we see McBeth step up to the tee, we do have to mention that this is the final regular season round of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's 2019 season, and we have a Pro Tour Finals looming here in about a month from now. And there's some players, including players on our card today, that are not in those finals. As McBeth executes another beautiful shot there to continue to keep pressing forward and pressing further under par. And one of those people that's not in the finals is Chris Dickerson. And Chris Dickerson has played plenty of disc golf this season, and he's certainly one of the better players out on tour. Of the tournaments that he's played on UDisc, the furthest one that was to the west was in Emporia, Kansas. And so we've missed Dickerson in a lot of the events that happened out west. So no Memorial, no Vegas, no California, no Oregon. But he's played pretty solid for the rest of the way. But he needs to finish in 10th place or better to make it into the top 32 and make it into our Pro Tour Finals.
And that's Simon just parking this hole with his PD2. And as you heard in that interview,
and there's Nikko for a drop in. We're going to take a break. We will be right back.
Can I list off every DGA disc in just 10 seconds? Well, yeah, of course I can. I can talk fast. I'm good at planning ahead. You're running out of time. Okay, well, that's not helping. All right, number one.
and this group just has the basket completely surrounded here on hole 6. And we can see Paul McBeth. He's the farthest one out. So first up to putt. Wow. And there is the very first putt that Paul has missed this entire weekend.
Do you see the smile? Look at the smile. I mean, he's got to know the camera's not even paying attention to the rest of the guys, because he just missed his first circle 1X putt, and the camera's just going to stay on him. And yeah, a little bit of a smile there by McBeth. We don't want to make a joke about it, but yeah, it's not normal.
That's not normal at all.
Yeah, let's take a look at hole 7. We've made it through the first 6, and now the course gets much more difficult. We have rain coming down. Par 5, 1,225 feet. To me, the most difficult shot is the tee shot. It's a long ways down. You got to go over out of bounds, and then you work your way down the long meadow here at Fox Run, all the way down to the corner. And there's our basket. The OB is just outside the circle behind it. We've seen a couple of players in our coverage go out of bounds long. And there's the whole preview or the whole map. Well, it doesn't really break it down, in my opinion, with justice at all. What's that? What's that look on that map? Like 300 feet? But at any rate, it is a very long hole. There are birdie opportunities here, but there are also bogey opportunities because there is OB throughout the entire hole.
So you guys know that I'm not very good at math, but I did some basic calculations. And for players to reach the inbounds on the other side of that out of bounds, 445 feet would be to that white tee that we saw on the course map. So we saw yesterday, we had 2 days ago when we played this course, we saw 3 players in the group. They went for the shot. They went for over and crossing out of bounds. Chris Dickerson was the only player to lay up. Yeah, I'm going to see if that is still the case today. Because like you said, it is the most important shot of this hole.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And he's laid it up yet again. Now, the one thing that I was not sure of when he did that, because I've never played it that way, is if he was going to be able to get pin high after 3 shots, and he was. So he's going to take an aggressive line off the next shot and try to get way down there. And here's Lizotte. Now, we heard Lizotte say in his pre-round interview he's going to use a lot of stable disc. Get out of the way, Simon. Oh, there we go. And he's crushed it down there. What a perfect drive by Simon.
Easily 500-foot drive there.
Definitely. And as I'm going to continue to talk about the Pro Tour Championship all day long on our coverage here, look at McBeth. Good point. Val's pointing at McBeth back there. He's working on his putting stroke. Yeah, well, he did miss. He's now 99% from circle 1X. So, but this man right here is not in the Pro Tour finals as well. And Nikko Locastro needs to finish 7th place or better to make it into our top 32 of merit and get into the Pro Tour finals. So a lot for Nikko to play for, and that was a beautiful drive by Nikko. And a reminder to everybody at home that the Pro Tour finals is comprised of the top 32 men and the top 16 women. And that's just perfectly buttered down the fairway.
And we are on hole 7, so I got to give a shout out to Savage Ultimate. We're going to throw it to a commercial really quick. We're going to catch up with Chris's drive in just a minute.
Flight's ready.
And the best thing about being in the booth, we actually have a flight tray here right in front of us. No, we don't, but
flight tray full of statistics, because that's what we've got for today's round.
And you're serving them up.
Yeah, I'm busting out all kinds of stuff. I really tried to spend some time and try to gather as much information as I could, especially as it pertains to our Pro Tour finals that are coming up not too far away.
And so here we have Chris Dickerson laid up his drive, and now he's throwing over that out of bounds.
That's that crush we're talking about. That's a big throw from back there. He's decided to take the aggressive shot as his second shot. So he said, oh, I'm going to lay it up down there. And it's probably not even an easy layup. I've never attempted it, but he's got to get it down that corner. And then he's got a pretty good angle to play a big, long, fading hyzer from there.
Yeah. And not only is the drive off the tee 450 feet, you have to be accurate. So you can't turn it over too much. You might get caught up in the OB on the right. There are those trees that are overhanging that could catch you. There's also a clump of trees kind of right in the middle of the fairway. Mm-hmm. So players are playing on the right-hand side of those. So shooting in between there. So distance and accuracy off of that drive. So Chris is kind of taking that all out of play. That little layup is probably throwing about 300 feet. It's landing him off to the left-hand side of that center clump, opening it up for that big turnover, that distance shot. So
it's a good angle. I mean, it is. Play. Yeah, it's a good angle to sort of elongate the fairway. If you were to think about it, he's coming from Nikko's left and looking towards Nikko's right. So he's elongating that fairway, and then you get down to where the fairway opens up. And so it kind of, it's a decent play. It really is.
And he set himself up in a good position on the left-hand side of the fairway. So he'll be looking good for his third shot even. And here's Nikko not getting enough flip on
Got to
this.
get down. That has to get down. And green. So that's where the fairway bumps out right there. And now that he's in bounds, he's going to have a killer angle. I mean, he's going to have a great angle at the basket. The trees won't be a problem at all. He'll be able to throw a backhand. So a lot of positives to take out of getting a little bit fortunate there. Now we're going to see the big sidearm from McBeth. Big overstable sidearm, playing it very safely. Plenty in the middle. Yeah, Val, I'm thinking, is Simon going big here?
Yes, he is.
It went a little high. Of course, we have no idea where it is now. Oh, there it is. Wow, nice.
Really nice shot. I mean, and to land that huge of a distance shot so high up in the sky, to land it right there in the middle. Simon's got an outside chance at a putt.
Yeah, he does. It's tough for us to tell from this angle. He's probably 150 out, although that's just a trick shot. That's just your everyday trick shot for Simon. And so, while we got a second, while our players come down the fairway, let's just talk a little bit more about the Tour Championship. So this year's Tour Championship, it's been announced, is going to be played at Hornets Nest in Charlotte, North Carolina. So a great place to play disc golf in October. And speaking of October, it's October 18 through 20. So it's a 3-day event. And the event is very unique in the sense that it's still a stroke play event, but there's sort of these challenge matches. And so it'll be on the men's side, we're going to take the top 32 and cut that in half. So we'll have 16 players playing for a round. They play a round of disc golf. We're going to take just the top 8 of scores, right? So not within the group as a whole. Then we'll add 8 more, and that'll be the quarterfinals. They'll play. We'll take 8 from that round, and we'll add 8 more, which are our semifinalists that are our top 8 players. So if you're in the top 8 in the order of merit on our Pro Tour points list, you're going to get a shot to go all the way to the semifinals. So really, that top 8 has already been sort of solidified here. There might be a little bit of movement. I'll check that out here in a minute. But at this point, this man right here, Chris Dickerson, is just trying to get in. He's just trying to get into the top 32, and that shot will help tremendously. As I mentioned, Dickerson has to finish 10th or better.
And we didn't catch his interview at the beginning of the round, but Madison was able to check in with Chris and see what he was thinking about. Is he thinking about trying to get into the Tour Championships, or is this tournament and the placement here more important? And he's got his eyes on the prize right now. This is what he's here for. He's playing really well at the tournament, and this is his main focus right now. And there's Paul with a nice sidearm.
I think the statement from Chris was something to the effect of, good play is going to warrant a good finish, and a good finish is going to get me into those finals. So I think he's sort of, very, he's got a good outlook on that. I don't think he needs to worry about it. He's currently in a tie for 4th, so finishing 7th is well, or above 10th is well within his reach at this point. This man right here has to finish in 7th place or better. Oh, and Nikko has got a little too much heat. And look at his reaction. He skipped out of bounds, so he's going to have a par putt from that point just outside the circle.
And it is just outside the circle. And that means that's how close that OB line is. It really tightens up there on the right-hand side. Wow, the discs are really pooling in that direction. We see 3 of our players landing there. And here is Simon throwing his 3rd shot. It's going to be a little bit of a toss. And so nicely done. Simon's just going to have a tap in birdie. And that is the benefit of having a huge monster drive. And that's really the shot he can unleash on.
Yeah, and even it's even too far for the great Simon Lizotte. You can see him talking with Paul, and he's saying, "Yeah, I turned it over, I got it, yada yada yada." But it's still so far down there into that corner that even the long throwing Simon Lizotte can't get it down there. This is going to be Nikko for his par save as he's gone out of bounds. Oh, and high left, and he's able to get it to get into that basket. You can see his reaction. He'll be happy with that par as he went out of bounds there. So it's a good save. Now we have McBeth here for birdie.
And that was the first time I was a little nervous. He just missed a putt on 6. And now here's another missed putt here on 7. You can tell that there's just a little something, a little bit of doubt now in Paul McBeth's mind after missing just 1 putt. Now it's 2 putts. That just shows how mental the putting game is. Here's Chris for birdie. And able to capture that. Chris has a very clean scorecard compared to the rest. He's got quite a few pars there after that bogey on hole 1, and now racking up a couple birdies. But we've seen this out of his rounds throughout the weekend. I mean, not really up or down, just very consistent, and he's maintained himself in that lead card. We are going to throw it to AJ on the course.
All right, welcome back to the field. I'm standing here on the 7's fairway. It's a little quiet out here. It's a little quiet. We've got some OB shots. That kind of dampens the mood a little bit. There's Paul's out to a big lead. The rest of the guys are still trying to fight and hang on, but when we see skips and whatnot go OB by a few feet, it's tough. It's tough on the players, and it's really tough on the gallery too to really support who they want to support. They really feel for the players. So, like I said, a little quiet out here. We'll see if things liven up a little bit more on the back 9. Back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, and it's seeming a little awkward, but here is a look of hole 8.
Yeah, here we are on hole 8, the very difficult hole 8, 675 feet, coming all the way back up the hill. It's a big turnover off the tee pad to put yourself in position to throw a big, booming, straight, kind of hyzer finish up to this basket. One of the most difficult holes to get your birdie on. And in fact, for McBeth, this hole 8, hole 9, and hole 18 of this course are the only holes he's taken plus strokes on. And you kind of see the double boomerang there. And the guys are trying to throw the big turnover from that small gold pad down there up to that white pad in the middle. And then from there, it's about 325 feet, but it's uphill the entire way, probably playing 375 with a tight OB on the right. So we'll see how our players are able to attack this. McBeth has missed 2 birdie putts in a row. Lizotte's at 24. He's at 31. Still not a problem at this point for McBeth, as he's playing really against himself at this point. But still, there's always things to play for here.
And it can be pretty frustrating missing birdie putts. But let's see what happens. You know, what if Paul puts himself in that position where he's got to save himself from getting a bogey? Now that he's thinking about those putts a little bit more, could be a little challenge for him to overcome this round.
And look at that. He's got it up past the white tee. That is amazing. What an incredible drive by Chris Dickerson. Chris is just the quiet killer, man. He just kind of plays along, and you don't notice anything from him, and then all of a sudden, boom. Oh, and Lizotte's got it overturned. And it's in between. That's what that means. It's either OB or inbounds. A group's going to have to take a look at it. Locastro slips a little bit. He's got it up high. Oh, that looks nice, though. That is a beautiful drive as well.
Man, it is all about just understanding and trusting your disc. Did you see the angle that he released that at? And even with the slip, that angle he popped it out there at, but allowing it to fly out and hyzer out.
Now, McBeth mentioned in his post-round interview after the round here on Friday that he tried to lay this hole up. And he has not laid that up here. We'll be right back. That is the disc of Simon Lizotte. And I love Simon. Anyways, he's just going to be out of bounds, so he's going to have to take his meter in from where he was last inbounds, which is just a few feet back of that. And, you know, I was just looking down at Simon's card. He's got 1 par on hole 3. He's got 1 bogey on hole 5. Other than that, he's birdied every single hole. And it's going to take one heck of a shot to get back up to the basket. But if anybody's got the distance, it's Simon Lizotte, that's for sure.
The wind's kind of good, though. Jerry, what do you think? Right up. It's so far. I'm going to lay up. Take a bogey.
The people what they want.
I hope Nate agrees.
Well, Nate, do you agree? Layup?
I actually do in this case. Simon's playing well. He's in a good position. It's a tough day in his mind going into the round. He knew it was going to be a tough day. So laying it up, I do approve, Simon. Of course, I think everybody at home would have loved to see you go for it. Such a tough angle from down there. Listen to the decision making. And he even said it. It's a good wind, but it's a long ways away. And it finishes to the right. A smart shot there by Lizotte.
I mean, that's just hilarious, though. Simon knows that we're watching. He knows that we're going to critique every move he makes, and he's always such an outwardly spoken guy. He's funny, comical, and I mean, he's asking around, just taking a poll whether he should go for it or not. And yeah, I think it's a good play.
And McBeth's going to play safe, right? So his safe is for him about 30 feet. He played on the safe side of the basket. He's a little bit outside the circle there. And, McBeth's missed 2 putts in a row. Normally we'd say, oh, yeah, we'll get that Zuka replay ready. But in this case, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But at this point, his closest competitor is laid up for accepting bogey here on this hole. So Chris Clemens, boy, he is still bogey free, 7 under through 11, playing extremely well. Wysocki is 5 down through 11.
And we see the hot score of the day in the clubhouse is at 7 under.
Yeah, that's
Nathan Queen.
Yeah, hits a spectator. All right. And Nikko is thankful for it. He's just thanking the dude. He's in bounds after hitting a spectator and coming back in bounds. It's unclear if he hit the spectator or that bench they're sitting on, but either way, he's in bounds. Very, very fortunate. It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's part of the course right now. Spectators are part of the course. All right, Chris is in a perfect position. He had such a great tee shot. He's lining it up, hoping to go for it here. It's not going to flip up enough. You know what? I want to see Nikko's shot again.
Yeah, let's take a look at that again, and we'll try to slow it down and see exactly where he did hit. I mean, immediately as he lets it go, it's going OB. The guys aren't even barely watching. They're like, okay, let's get out of the way now. Oh, and it was the bench. It was the bench. So the bench is a part of the course. So those guys aren't going to get any high fives, but as they weren't the ones to help Nikko.
Yeah, but thankfully they jumped out of the way. That could have been a shin.
Yeah, it could have
deflecting
been a
the disc back into the inbounds. But wow, yeah, pretty lucky break there for Nikko. We'll see if he can take advantage of that. And here is Simon after that safe play. So he's got first tee shot out of bounds. It's his third shot now, throwing 4 underneath the basket. He's going to just have to walk away with a bogey here.
And after listening to Simon's pre-round interview, before we came on air, I went back and took a look at Simon's statistics from this season, and Simon's had a very solid season. He doesn't have any victories, which is one of the things that I think a lot of the people, especially in this age with Wysocki and McBeth, we always look at how many victories. But Lizotte has had a really solid season. I think he's been gaining confidence throughout the year. And if Simon can just find a little bit of confidence coming into these last few events, we could certainly see his name on one of these championship trophies. And, the one thing I love about Simon, he plays in the biggest events, and he really loves to play against the best players. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. So solid season for Lizotte.
And here's Nikko standing over his birdie putt. And not walking it down, knowing that it could be just a little bit too short. And for another birdie look, we have Chris Dickerson. He's outside the circle. Yep, and of course we're seeing that step through putt. Right in the heart. Very nice putt there from Chris. Just maintaining that steady play. He's going to need more birdies like that. And we have Paul McBeth, the only player to make it inside circle 1. He's also putting for his birdie. And there it is. That stroke, that putting stroke right there could bring him back into it. That's a confidence builder after 2 missed putts. But we're throwing a birdie on his scorecard, so he's back at it. Nikko's going to drop in for his par. And Simon is just going to have to take a bogey here.
Toss approved, by the way. So there's his bogey. And he got a little unfortunate off the tee pad. So, really it's not really Simon's fault in that case. So let's take a look here at hole 9. Finishing the front 9 with a real doozy, 435 feet straight down the hill. There's OB on the right. It does widen out to the left, but our players are going to want to throw a hyzer that flips to flat and rides right along that right-hand OB line. You kind of have to play that game if you want to get anywhere near this basket. We saw McBeth in round number 2 turn it just a little bit too much, get caught up, and kick OB right. But we also saw a few players just play it a little bit into the fat of the green on the far left side and have some putts from over there. I say continue to stay aggressive on this one and try to give yourself a great birdie opportunity, as 10's a good birdie opportunity. And 11 is sort of a medium birdie opportunity. So a little bit of a run here, but look at the stats. 68% out of bounds. Only 1% of the field has hit circle 1, 4% of the field making birdies. The only way you're going to get inside circle 1 is if you do what I said. You're going to have to ride that right side, and you're going to have to push it all the way down to the pin. So let's see what our players have for us on this 9th hole.
And that is just the scariest thing. You're throwing directly at the out of bounds and hoping that you're judging the distance correctly. And you don't know until you've passed the trees, or until you get hung up and you get caught up in the out of bounds. So this one can be a little deceiving just because of that downhill slope toward the basket.
And that's just going to be a little low. Of course, he's going to be begging for it. I mean, the hole is still 400 plus feet, 435. I mean, you really got to, it's a big pop. But that was a beautiful line there by Dickerson, but just a tad low. That bogey by Lizotte. Chris Clemens moves officially into second place. And if things were to freeze right now, Chris Clemens would move from the top 32 into the top 16, which would give him a bye into the second round at the Tour Championship. Oh, I love it. I love it. Start flexing right now. Flex. And that is the shot of the day, folks. What an incredible throw. Roll that Zucker replay. I know we got Nikko coming. Yeah. Look at this shot. Look at this shot. Right here, it's starting to flex, and right here, McBeth knows it's parked. I mean, look at that shot, Val. He did exactly what I said.
It's like he planned that skip just to the right of the rock. It's just going to skip right underneath the basket. But whoa, Nikko might be in trouble here riding that line. We'll see where that one finished up, but he is very close to the out of bounds.
I mean, that shot by McBeth. Oh, and this is a horrible shot by Lizotte. This is going to for sure be OB. Who knows even when he crossed in bounds last. So Lizotte, I don't approve of that. Let's take a short break, and we'll come right back.
Today, we're talking about the Undertaker. The Undertaker is a fairway driver, and for advanced players, it will be pretty straight, but for the newer player, it'll be a good first control driver. For me, the Undertaker is the perfect point-and-shoot fairway driver, both in the woods and out in the open. If I'm throwing at a target that's straight ahead, I'm going with the Undertaker every time. It's just really straight. You can pick one up at Discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
Hey, GMC viewers, go buy a mock ship basket from DGA, putt on it one time every other month, and see if your putting improves by like 200%. It probably won't because that's not very consistent practice, but man, wouldn't that be awesome?
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
And here we are with Simon after he threw basically immediately out of bounds right off the tee. So we're not too far off the tee pad. He still has a lot of distance still to cover here on hole 9. Such an interesting tee play, and we're holding our breath here on this shot.
Boy, the internet was holding its breath as it sort of, you can see he's inside the circle, but that rock is going to make that putt very difficult. That's a trick shot right there.
Yeah, this could be the next trick shot we see on YouTube, giving Simon a little bit of a challenge. Huge rock. I mean, that's going to be covering most of the basket. He might see the top of the basket, but yeah, that'll be quite a save from there.
Yeah, it looks like Nico's inbounds, luckily.
It's so strange not to take any relief.
And now Nico's going to have a similar look as Lizotte. So Locastro and Lizotte. But Nico's just a little bit more to the good side of this rock view. You can see right there. You're going to see Dickerson.
Wow, and that did end up pretty short.
And
but he's safe.
Yeah, exactly. He is safe. He's right in the middle. And as I've been saying here for the last few holes, Chris Dickerson needs to finish at 7th place or better to make it into the Tour Finals. And by the way, we have to remember that Chris Dickerson won the Tour Finals last year. So the guy who won the finals is not even in the finals at the moment and needs a 7th place finish or better. He's got, right now it looks pretty safe. 7th place is 4 strokes back with Martin Hendel, and now it's 3 strokes back as Alex Russell has moved to 19. So it's tight. It's definitely something that we're going to keep an eye on as the round goes forward. That's certainly the big thing right now is Chris Dickerson going to get into those finals and have a chance to repeat as Tour Championship champion?
Nice little breakdown there, Nate. And here we have Nikko lining up that putt. Yeah, he does have a little bit better review of the basket, especially those right side chains. Wow. And there we go. He was just outside the circle, so allowing himself to have a little bit of that follow through, giving him enough to just pop it in. And wow, just look at this view right now. You can tell how large that rock is. Simon can barely see the top of the basket.
So he's going to have to use the flag, right, as his line. He's just going to go quick.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, at that point, there's really nothing to line up at. You just have to execute the putt. Big save there for Lizotte. That's going to kind of keep him, and there's the tap-in birdie. It's going to keep Lizotte in a position to still finish in second place, although he's got a little bit of work ahead of him as there's some players playing very, very well at this point with Wysocki playing really well. Clemens.
You were just saying in the break, That drive by Paul McBeth, that is the confidence that he needs just to keep on zooming through this back nine.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little bit of fault, a little chink in the armor, as you say, but that drive right there is a statement.
It absolutely is. And here we are on hole 10. Very easy hole for our players, 295 feet. I would imagine that all four players of this group should be either inside the circle or very close. It's a sidearm for most players. I think we saw Dickerson throw a backhand here yesterday. So let's see what our players have. Just 295 is sort of an easy start to the back nine. But you're right, Val, that drive by McBeth, huge confidence builder. At home, you cannot tell how hard that was. 435 downhill, rides an OB line and parks the hole. That's some impressive stuff.
Yeah, this is incredible action still happening. Paul McBeth has a resounding lead at this point. We're into the back nine. We're here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championship presented by GripEq. We are so happy to bring you the live coverage of this Disc Golf Pro Tour event. You've heard our voices all weekend, but I'm Valarie Jenkins. Nate Doss is joining me, and we've got 9 holes to go before we see who is crowned the champion of this tournament and how the standings line up for the Pro Tour finals in just a few weeks.
And McBeth's got it just below the basket. You know what else is impressive?
What?
Chris Clemens. Chris Clemens has played 13 holes. He's 9 under par. That's a very impressive score. He's 2 strokes short of the course record held by Calvin Heimberg from last year at 11 under par. So that's some impressive stuff by Chris Clemens. And Chris is in solo second place by 2 strokes right now. McBeth has opened up a 10-stroke lead over the closest competitor in his card.
And that was running for ace, but almost going out of bounds on the backside. Woo, he's about 6 inches from the out of bounds line.
Yeah, 11-stroke lead. That was an impressive drive there, but 11-stroke lead over his own group. Wysocki's been on one heck of a run. Ricky has 1 double bogey, but now 8 birdies to go along with 1 double bogey. So, yeah, Wysocki's playing well. A guy who was down in 45th place after the first round is now currently solo 3rd. So impressive stuff by Ricky, who's a 4-time champion here. And Simon's going to step up quick and park the hole. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
What do you think, flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is a sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers. Ooh.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
It's great.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway by accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
And we're back with Nikko. First to attempt his birdie putt.
And Nikko able to put that in. That's going to keep him within that 10th place finish that he needs to make it into the tour finals. And for a guy that's on tour, making the tour championship is very key at this point. You know, it's an opportunity to make some money and also have a very high finish. McBeth tapping that in. A couple other big names to mention that aren't in the tour finals. Greg Barsby and Matt Bell are also not in the tour finals. Barsby would need a 15th or better 15th place finish here. And Matt Bell would need an 11th place finish. Matt Bell, I believe, is down in 20th. And Barsby has dropped out of contention there. So actually, Bell and Barsby are tied down at 16th. So Barsby just barely making it in right now, or just one place out. So we'll keep an eye on Barsby as we move forward.
And nice recovery after that ace run to almost out of bounds. Chris racks up the birdie, and that is a star birdie for our group. We're seeing AJ Risley on the course stepping in to give us a little bit of what is going on there. A lot of action. We're shooting it over to AJ now.
All right, well, we're starting the back nine off with a bang. A little star frame there. These guys have a history of playing the back nine very, very well. Both Paul McBeth and Nikko Locastro have recorded -8s on this back nine alone, bogey-free, of course. Let's see if they can do it right here, right now to finish the 2019 GMC. I'm excited. Are you? Back to the booth.
AJ's always excited. He's got something to be excited about.
And thank you to AJ for being out there. We see some raindrops starting to fall once again. We'll see if that affects the play, but Paul McBeth pulls out a beautiful swirly ESP disc. We'll have to find out what that disc is, but that was a good looking disc.
Yeah, and pops him right in the middle of the fairway. And here we have Chris Dickerson. We saw some of those raindrops again. And I'm just going to call it a heavy drizzle. It looks like these are more sort of mountain raindrops at this point, just sort of things coming in and out of the area as weather typically collects around these higher peaks. Dickerson's got a good turn on it, but he's got caught up. Yeah, and he's going to be left well back at that point. The further back you are, the less opportunity you have to get into the gap here on hole 11.
Exactly. And the play here is you want to get a big drive out there to shorten up that upshot. But I like where Nikko's shot is ending up here. A little bit of skip. Woo! And playing it close to that OB line. But he's going to have a great vantage point as he attacks that second shot.
And here's Lizotte just putting a little whip on it. And he's going to outdrive everybody on the card. And look at that. He's almost to the gap. Beautiful shot. Let's throw it to commercial and catch up after this.
The DGA Pipeline's the longest, straightest fairway driver you'll ever throw. I just need a good line about pipes and disc golf. Pipes. I got nothing.
And here's the view from beyond the basket. We're looking back down the fairway. So this is the second shot that these players are trying to get to. You can see there's a lot of trees still in the way. There's that gap on the left-hand side of what we were looking at. And I think that's the gap that players really want to go for. You do have that gap. If you leave it out a little bit on the outside, you can still come in. So it's all about just kind of trying to avoid the trees as you're coming into the basket. The OB line is on the right-hand side, and it follows the green, and then around the basket just beyond, not more than 20 feet past the basket. So you've got that absolutely pure upshot, you could risk going out of bounds. But players at this point, they can't see the basket, so they just want to get over that rock wall and down, giving themselves a putt.
Yeah, and Dickerson getting just up over that wall, hitting a tree. He's got an open look at the basket, but that's when you bring in going long and going out of bounds. So we'll see what Dickerson has. By the way, Chris Clemens' watch. He's now birdied yet another hole. Hole number 14. He's going to head into the woods, 15 and 16. Super tough. And so we'll see, though. He's just one stroke short of the course record at this point. Chris Clemens in solo second place at 26 under par.
And 10 down for the round. We're into double digits now for the hot score. Here we go. Nikko's pulling out a sidearm. There's that outside gap. Oh, and that makes it perfectly down there. And even that really great shot that Nikko just threw, he's still pretty close to the out of bounds, but he's going to be setting up really nicely there for his birdie putt. Here we are, Paul McBeth on the right-hand side of the fairway. And as you can see, there's that rock wall. And we can see the gap just straight ahead. I think a sidearm for this approach is the best play. And I think Paul agrees with that.
Yeah, definitely with this angle, there's no doubt. Just got to control the speed. I believe this is his zone. The mid-range disc. And of course, being able to thread it right through those trees for a tap-in birdie for McBeth this guy is really, truly impressive. At this point, he hasn't taken a bogey stroke since the triple bogey that he took on the 18th hole here on Fox Run Meadows. And right now, there's just sort of a bunch of games within games. Lizotte, Dickerson, and Wysocki and Locastro are all playing for third place at this point. And so every single stroke matters. It's money on the line, points on the line, all kinds of pride as well. So there's the chip up by Lizotte.
And it's great to see everybody is down here in the mix. We got Nikko and Paul, and I'd say Simon pretty much parked, almost making it into the wood chips for all three of those. Chris still has a bit of a putt. I bet he's kind of hoping that it's outside so he can do that famous step through putt.
Yeah, and the only thing that Chris Dickerson has to worry about right here is going long. You skip off the top of the basket, you're OB. You miss the basket entirely, you're most likely OB. So let's see what Dickerson has for us. Looks like he's going with just the standard putt. No step through here.
And that was looking good. Just another couple of inches, and that would have been right in the heart. On the perfect line. But that's about as safe as a putt could be. Just a little bit short, dropping right underneath. He's going to be able to drop in his par.
Yeah, boy, the way Chris putted that, we know he knows how dangerous it is to go long because he didn't do the step putt. He did a much higher sort of loopy putt. Whoa. Again, it's just, we're just not used to it. You know, I mean, and not only are we not used to it, we just would not see this from this caliber of these players. I mean, forget how McBeth's been statistically, but that's now his third missed putt.
For birdie.
For birdie. Of course, none of these are for bogey. That's the thing to remember. But, yeah, I mean, good thing he's got a big lead.
Oh, and that's just so frustrating.
By the way, the guy's still 6 under par, so it's incredible to watch Paul carve up these rounds and carve up these courses.
And look at this stance right here from Nikko. He's basically just got to go all arm. And there it is for his birdie.
We have McBeth Cam there. He, sort of contemplating what's going on. I think you have to remember, everybody at home, Paul McBeth has a lot of tournament wins. He's got a lot of second places. He's been in this position many, many times. And he has, for the most part, let's go ahead and move to that hole 12. We'll get back to McBeth here in just a second. Let's take a look at hole 12, 720 feet. It's a placement shot off of the tee. They're trying to hit that tee right there on the left. I believe that's the white tee or the red tee. We haven't figured that out quite yet. It's going to leave him about 300 feet into this green. It's a very gettable hole. It's all about the tee shot, putting yourself in a quality position to have a good angle heading into this number 12 green. Again, 720 feet. And there you go. That red tee, it says 225. We've yet to think that that's actually 225 feet. It's more about 350. So we'll see. But just back to McBeth real quick, Val. You know, he's got, like I said, he's got a lot of wins. Obviously, we talked about the stats. He's got 12 of them this year. He's played 18 tournaments. And you know, he is really driven towards perfection. I think these little missed putts are something that he's able to forget about for right now and move on with his round. But come tomorrow, you guarantee on the drive to the next tournament, he's thinking about it. And that's something that we know from McBeth, just from the experience of knowing Paul for this long and seeing his work ethic. So remember, folks, he's got a big lead, but he's still playing against himself.
And he's a player that has shot basically perfect golf. There's only a few things that he can count up to even work on. And right now, there's three short, very gettable missed putts. And so, I mean, those are just kind of unforgivable errors. I mean,
yeah, to a guy like Paul, for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, we would be upset about those putts as well. They're basically gimmies that he's missed today.
I mean, remember, though, like if I had and right now it's a 8-stroke lead. If I had an 8-stroke lead and I missed that putt, I mean, I'd still be laughing it off and walking to the next tee. McBeth's not. You know, an 8-stroke victory is not as good as a 9-stroke victory. And I think that says a lot. And you're right. He's thrown 2 perfect rounds. We've got 4 tee shots off. And, Dickerson is not in a great position, but he is safe. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
And here we are, step 1, throwing to this landing zone here. And this is that tricky shot and tricky footing for Chris. And he's choosing to go with the sidearm. All right, now he's getting into position and realizing, yeah, The sidearm's pretty much the only option from where his disc landed.
It's a layup, right? So he's just going to have to pitch it across. Anywhere in bounds is a successful shot from this position for Chris Dickerson.
He's really got to hit that angle pretty severely, hoping that disc is going to stable out. Yep. Put yourself in the middle. And that'll work.
That will work. You're right. So, yeah, Dickerson, he's doing fine, right? He's in fourth solo. He's one ahead of Nikko. He's one behind Lizotte. So we're not talking about a win for Dickerson, but he does need to finish in 7th place or better. And here's McBeth. You can see immediately he did not get the pop on that. He's on the left side. He's going to have a long look at birdie. He's not happy about it either. Again, playing a game against himself at this point. Just didn't have the pop. That high kind of poppy finish that you would expect from McBeth. I want everybody at home. We talked about this during the ladies round. Just when our camera pans up, does this look like 225 feet to you? I mean, Nikko has a driver in his hand. There's no way. There's no way it's 225. Jeff, get the wheel out, my friend. You need to remeasure.
Yeah, this is a pretty big crush. We just saw Paul leaving it a little bit short, so we know that this is probably upward over 400 feet to the basket.
Full flex. Get down.
Oh, and that's going to be a tricky putt. That's a little bit of a tree bunker on the left-hand side. Nikko's going to have to get tricky with that one. And all right, if anybody can just pin this, Simon's going to pull out his putter. No, it wasn't his putter, but not able to flip it up.
Yeah, that's a bad effort as well. I mean, gosh, it's, I'm thinking about 2 years ago playing this hole and envisioning it. And yeah, I mean, it's a pull. I mean, you have to full on commit to that shot. And those guys came out of those shots just a little bit early. We're going to take a look at the hot scores. And there you go. Chris Clemens, he's still playing the 15th hole. He's been on hole 15, so maybe there's a backup for just a little bit here because he's had that 10 under score for a while. And then look at that, Steve Brinster. Hey, Bryn, great playing, buddy. Get that birdie on 18 and walk away with an 18 under par for the tournament. It's a nice finish for Brinster.
I see Nathan Queen there shooting a 7 under as well. He's in the clubhouse. Moved up 12 places today, so he's really put it all out there in today's final round. And Paul McBeth, he's sitting right there, 6 under for the round through 11 holes.
Just 3 makeable putts.
3 makeable putts could have put him right now at 9 under.
It's comical. I mean, it's just comical.
But the frustration, and like you said, he's playing within his own mind right now, and
right.
He's challenging himself so much. And to see his reaction, it's like he's in second place, 8 behind the lead, and is missing these putts and not able to catch up.
Right.
That's what it's just seeming to be, but he's just got so much pressure placed upon himself. And just a battle for perfection. This is for birdie.
Off the top left of the basket. That was a big outside putt there. Now let's see if Lizotte can give a little boost of energy into this group. This would be a good putt for Lizotte. It would move him one step closer to Chris Clemens. Oh, and just a little bit short for Simon. It was a great view to see that kind of putting style we've talked about on Simon for a couple of times now. He's sort of playing catch with the basket. He's got that comfortable stance and he's got that nice comfortable throw. more of a throw putt
Yeah, a
than
little
anything.
toss to the basket rather than a spin putt or maybe a lofty putt like we see Nikko do. It's just this little bit of a toss.
Yeah.
Playing catch with the basket.
I'll never forget meeting Simon for the first time, a 16-year-old German kid in Tampere, Finland, and the kid could throw a rock like a helicopter 400 feet. And look at him now. He's just one of the best players in disc golf. And there we go for Nikko.
Roll that Zuka replay, Johnny V.
Yeah,
This is the excitement we needed.
Look at the commitment. Boom. He just popped it in there on the hard right side. Fully committed to it. And that's a big putt for Nikko. Going to move him into position here. 23 under par. Tied with Dickerson. And just one stroke back of Lizotte for a third place finish. So this could be, for Nikko, speaking of Nikko, his best finish. Of the tournaments that have been on UDisc, it's a tie for sixth is his best. So Nikko definitely playing better now than he ever has. Let's go out to AJ Risley. What you got for us, AJ?
All right. So as our players and spectators walk across the street to hole 13, I'm looking at the sky and there's a lot of clouds. It's going to stay a little chilly. I wish I would have brought a jacket. Paul McBeth did in fact throw a Big Z Luna on his second shot. He was close to 400 feet out. He's I'm not really sure what the play was there. Even Simon was shaking his head and asking, "Really, putter?" As we saw, Nikko just made another circle 2 putt. That makes 3 on the day. Friday, he made 7 in one round. He's got 5 holes left. If he can make a circle 2 putt on each hole, he'll beat his personal record for 8 circle 2 putts in one round. Back to you guys in the booth.
We're out here just before the final round, and this time we are catching up with Chris Dickerson. He's been on the lead card every day since round 1. He's played with Paul and I believe Simon a multitude of those days as well. How are you feeling going into the round, playing with the same people you've been playing with all week?
Feeling pretty good about it. You know, it's a pretty good card, so I'm looking forward to it.
Are you a little bit nervous about going back out into the wind? I know you play really well in the woods. That's what you're used to in Tennessee. How do you feel about it?
I'm looking forward to getting other chances this course. The wind really didn't affect how I played very much. It was just a bunch of bad shots. The wind didn't really have anything to do with it.
It's all on you. It's not on the wind. Are you going to go conservative, or are you going to try to be a little bit more aggressive sitting in tie for second?
It really depends. I'm going to play the course the same as I have the past time I played it in the practice rounds before that, but down toward the end, I think it'll change to more of a conservative depending on what place I'm sitting in.
So obviously it's great you're sitting in second, you're 8 strokes back. You're thinking about this win as well this weekend, or maybe potentially playing for second place. What's more on your mind, the tournament or maybe trying to get into the Pro Tour Championship at the end of the year? I know you're trying to make a bid for that.
Definitely the tournament, because the outcome of this tournament dictates what will happen going into that.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, so if I do good here, or good enough here, I'll get a spot for that. If I don't, I won't be there.
Hey, thanks for breaking it down for me, Chris. I really appreciate that. Yep. With that, we are going to head back to the action. So thanks for listening. Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Cool. Then back to you guys. And we are here on hole 13. And I'm glad we got to play that interview. That was my favorite ending.
Yeah, it made us laugh when we were watching it before we came on air, didn't it? I mean, that was hilarious.
Oh, geez. And thank you to Madison for doing the interviews. We know it's not the easiest job out there, but we appreciate her. We know she's injured, so thank you for volunteering your time to help us out here with the live coverage. And, of course, thank you to AJ. And take a look at this shot. Nikko is feeling it right now. Perfect drive, just about a 10-foot past the basket. Incredible shot there from Nikko. Oh, and Simon knows that this has got to get lucky. And we see it there early in the left-hand side there. He is just in jail. But we did see Paul McBeth make a putt from there just 2 days ago. There might be something for Simon to look at.
Yeah, Locastro feeling it for sure. Coming up now in a position where he could potentially pass Dickerson and Lizotte. And look at that. McBeth's not going to have to make a good putt here. Interesting, though, that he chose the Big Z Luna. The only thing I can surmise from all of that is the fact that he's just, again, he's trying to lock in shots. He's probably already an event ahead of all of us, thinking, oh, how far can I throw this Luna? And how do I need to throw it to get another 10 feet? So taking everything in.
And I was joking that Simon was throwing a putter, but in fact, Paul was throwing his putter on that last shot. And take a look at that park job. We're going to throw it to commercial. We're going to see what Simon's got in jail there and see what his putt looks like.
Spectacular views like these and championship level play like this can mean only one thing. It's time for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. 2 days of disc golf, craft beer, mountain biking, and more. Featuring live music from Zach Nugent and Blues for Breakfast. Also the 2019 Discraft Green Mountain Championship, the biggest disc golf event in New England. Special group rates on lodging are available. Call today and stay while you play.
And we can barely see him because there's so many trees between Simon and the basket. But here's the view that Simon's looking at for his birdie putt. Oh, and off the top of the basket.
And a trickle.
And you can sit down any time now. Oof. That's going to be quite a comeback putt, but a heck of a run from Simon. And the thing here, I was about to say, Simon was in that pressure zone where he needed to make that putt. He's at 24 under. Nikko's under the basket right now at 23 under. This birdie putt from Nikko could gain a stroke on Simon, but now we have a comeback putt. Simon's outside the circle.
Could be the dreaded two-stroke swing. I mean, that's certainly the fear right now.
Wow. And Simon, I think if we had a stat for all of his knee putts this weekend, he has been nailing them. He's outside the circle. To get enough power behind the putt to make it from outside the circle is pretty incredible. But that was just for par. We know the rest of the group is just surrounding the basket for their birdie putts. So first up with that birdie putt, Nikko.
Boy, and that was just a fumble into the basket. It did stay in, by the way, but that was a horrible looking putt by Nikko. But at the end of the day, it's in the basket, so who cares? Now McBeth's just going to tap in here.
And that's really going to bump Nikko up there. He's tied for third right now. Chris Clemens is just shredding it out there. He's still at 10 under. He's on hole 15. We don't see that score coming in just yet.
Yeah, I was like, we're going to take a look at hole 14 here at the uphill par 3. Very, very gettable here. It's 380 feet. Probably plays more like 420, 440, something like that. It's a good pop up the hill. You can either take the straight look or you can go out and around all the way. All the way out and around, we didn't see very many of our players the other day take that, even though I think it's very gettable. But up the gap is something we saw McBeth do. So that could be the preferred route for our players today as well. But 380 feet up the hill, it's one heck of a pop. And if anybody's out there that knows what Chris Clemens is doing, we'd love to know, because we have not seen a score from his card in over a half hour. Now, either we're about to see a big group on 15, or a phone died, or maybe our scorekeeper had to go to work or something like that. So, or maybe they're checking their fantasy football stats or something like that. So we'll just we'll check in with the TD, Jeff Spring, and see if we can't get an update for everybody on Chris Clemens.
Wow, and a lot of ground play there for Nikko. So we're now on 14. Paul McBeth's drive is up.
And he's definitely taken that straight route on purpose. And there's the putt he'll have.
Now with Paul's drive up there, we're going to have 4 holes to play. Something absolutely crazy has to happen for Paul not to take down this championship. So we know that the story's switching. We got to see who's going to end up in second place.
Now, we just asked for Clemens' score, and now Dickerson has really flailed one out to the left. It's going to be in jail over there. And now we have Lizotte. And all of a sudden, Locastro is just shooting up the board. Of course, we don't know what Clemens is at. And oh, look, here we go. Simon's going big spike hyzer. Camera can't keep up with it. Oh, and that's what we've always seen happen here. A kick off the tree and the backspin roll OB. Oh, Simon, unfortunate. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
And here's what Chris had to deal with for his upshot, but absolutely pins the basket. And just in the distance there, you can see where Simon's going to have to take his relief after rolling, after kicking some trees. Nate is just shaking his head here in the booth. He has seen that shot happen countless
time after
times.
time after time. just the angle that he's coming in at and all that spin, it hits the tree, it kick rolls back, and there's just nothing to stop it. So unfortunate for Simon. Oh man, it's heartbreaking, to be totally honest with you. So yeah, we'll see. A big putt here for Locastro if he can find a way to snake it through here. He's been putting well today.
Wow. Oh, and his heart shirt is heartbroken. That was right off of the cage, right off of the right hand chains. Oh, and he's reliving that because that was a heck of a run. And here's Simon down below the basket for his par save.
And off the top of the rim, that's going to be a bogey for Lizotte. And that's going to drop him back 23 under par. We see in one of our other camera angles, we're going to hear a little bit from Steve Brinster as McBeth taps in that birdie. So after these guys tap in, we're going to go to an interview with Madison Walker and Steve Brinster, United States Disc Golf Champion. Let's hear it, Madison. Take it away.
Hey, everybody. We're catching up here with Steve Brinster after his really awesome bogey-free 8-down round here at the final round of the Green Mountain Championships. Tell me about how you feel.
It feels good. It feels good. I finally was able to just navigate the course and just stayed out of trouble. Had even more opportunities than that I could have capitalized on, but you know, it was windy out there, so you know, a couple holes I played for par on. I went out there and played golf.
So I know it feels good, obviously, to play a good round on a course like this where there's OB everywhere, but how does it feel to play a good round on a course that you designed?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I love a lot of the shots out there, and I'm no stranger to kind of having a good game plan, knowing where the trouble is, knowing the areas that that I can attack. So I think that it was just a good opportunity to put it all together. And probably more importantly, my game felt strong. I think my plan hasn't changed that much over whether it was today or the last couple of days, but I just was executing my shots a lot better.
Awesome. Well, I know a lot of people in the field are really happy to play this course. They were really happy with the shot selection and all that. Was the rain a factor at all out there?
I did slip one time right as it was raining in the grass, and that I felt like that cost me a shot. I had kind of a routine shot there, but I stayed pretty conscious of it the rest of the way out. No, other than that one shot, it was just kind of in the back of my mind, knowing that it's something I need to think about.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I bet that feels really good to finish out your weekend like that. And we enjoy talking to you, and I hope you have a good rest of the weekend out here. Anything else you want to say?
No, thanks a lot. Just thanks to Jeff Spring and the whole Smuggs crew here for putting on just once again an amazing event, one of the best in the nation, and I'm just glad I was able to be a part of it.
Yeah, same here. Well, we'll throw it back to the action. I know there's a lot going on out there. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks a lot.
And there is Steve Brinster, one of my best friends, one of my best men in my wedding as well. Congrats for Steve to play well. I always love hear Steve say, Steve's one of those guys, there's always another one out there he could have taken. But Steve is the king of the Northeast. He's been just a dominant player from the New Jersey, New York area for so long. And Clemens has hit early. Dickerson, geez. Sorry about that, everybody.
And it's fun to hear. Yeah, Steve Brinster is one of the course designers out here. And I remember getting a tour about when the course was getting put in back in 2015, and how it has changed and how challenging it is. We have Chris Dickerson right off of the tee, So he is going to be stepping up to his lie in just a few seconds. This hole is very tight and technical. What do you think the play is to park the hole?
Yeah, well, we didn't see the whole preview, but if you've been following along with us at all, you know that this hole is pretty straight. It's 315 feet, but it finishes hard right at the end. That's why we saw mostly sidearms from our players. It looked as if McBeth pulled his a little to the left, and Simon left his a little inside. But the guy that parked it, Nikko Locastro. And so Nico's going to take yet another stroke under par at this point, and that should move him to 25 under. I'm still fighting with the tournament staff to try to get any information on Chris Clemens, because his score has been stuck on 26 for a while now, and we just don't know what's going on. So Nikko, for all we know, could be in second place after tapping in this birdie putt. And so only time will tell once we see everything start to come through. And it looks like Chris might lose a stroke here. So Dickerson is still safe to get into the Tour Finals, as he's in a tie for third. A bogey would put him in a solo fifth. But Chris has to be careful here. He can't make too many mistakes coming down the stretch, because seventh is not that far back at just 21 under par. So we'll see how Chris is able to navigate these final few holes.
And see that blue disc right there? Yep, that's the disc of Nikko. So right in the chips. Wow, and this is quite a view. Which gap is Paul going to go for?
Wow, incredible.
And that one worked pretty well. Holy cow. Those tight little fairways that he's aiming for right there couldn't have been more than 2 feet wide. Whew.
Yeah, and it looked even more impressive on camera. Just that tight line he had to take, able to needle it through there, and then playing a little bit of ground play, keeping it close to the basket.
And outside circle 2 here. Simon's trying to give it a little bit of a run. At this point, we're running out of holes here. Simon needs to give it everything he's got. So here's where Chris's second shot ended up. He's putting for par. He is right in the mix. So this one is pretty crucial. And just right there, that little bit of a routine. It's a step through putt, so he is outside the circle.
And just off the front rim for Dickerson. So he's going to lose that stroke. And we're starting to see some scores trickle in from Clemens. And I've seen a score from hole 15, 16, and 17. It looks as if Chris has birdied 17. And for what I know, information I know, he's at 11 under par, which is, and Simon's going to miss this putt. Man, I think just the 4 days and all of the thinking and all of the effort is finally catching up with our lead guys here. You know, it takes a toll trying to chase down a guy like McBeth, just mentally and physically. So, unfortunate miss there for Lizotte. But yeah, Clemens has we've seen a par birdie come in for him on 15, 16, and 17. So he's 11 under par, tied with the course record with just one hole left, and that's hole 18.
Wow.
There's that tap in for Locastro. That's going to move Nikko to 25 under par in solo third now, and he's going to extend a little bit of a gap between himself and fourth place. So Nikko in a very good position. So let's take a look at 16. One of the more difficult tee shots I would say, because it's 715 feet, Val, but you got to try to get it up and over this ridge line. So the second half of the fairway is completely blind to our players. They're going to try to get into this zone right here where this tee pad is. And then that gives them a pretty good view to get out the gap into the basket. This is a standard basket location for this 16th hole, though it's a new hole as of the World Championship last year. And in the second round, we saw Greg Barsby, the world champion on this course, by the way, take a quadruple bogey. So if you get caught up in the woods, all of a sudden, this hole becomes a lot more difficult. So it's all about putting yourself in a good position off the tee.
And this is such a beautiful change up from the previous hole design. Oh, and here's trouble. Nikko's looking for another good kick.
Just kidding. It's really bad.
Yeah, he's going to have some trouble there on the right-hand side. You can see how thick the woods is.
And that's where Barsby did get caught up on that right side.
Took him about 3 throws to get out of there.
McBeth just puring it down the middle. What a beautiful looking throw right into that kind of dry area that I was talking about. He's going to have a good opportunity to get out the gap after 2 throws.
And at this point, it's pretty much just a victory walk. He's just got to complete these last 3 holes. Paul McBeth has just continued to extend that lead. We know he did not shoot perfect golf today, but still such an impressive round. He's at 8 down right now with a few short missed putts. I mean, he's at course record if those putts were to go in.
Oh, he's sitting at course record with still multiple holes to play. And we saw Clemens take a big kick to the right. Clemens has to be careful. God dang it. Sorry, everybody. Seriously, I take full responsibility. Simon slipped. He's going to go up and left and kick even further left. So that's unfortunate for him.
And while Nate gets his words together and his names together, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I can throw this disc around the world in 1 shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdied, my friends.
What do you think, flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is the sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these.
I'm out here just after the final round of the Green Mountain Championships with James Conrad. He came in with a screaming hot -8, the hot round in the clubhouse right now, along with Steve Brinster. How do you feel about it?
I feel good. It was nice to bounce back after a subpar round on the first go around out here, round 2.
Yeah, I see you beat yourself by 8 strokes. That's got to be quite a different feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I was able to keep it in bounds a lot better. My putting still wasn't quite clicking, but the drives were good enough that I was able to pick up quite a few birdies and not too many bogeys.
Is that the main place you would say that you shaved was in the out of bounds strokes?
Yeah, that was definitely where I improved my round the most. I think I had about only 2 OBs, and I was able to save par in one of those, so not too bad.
Were you, I mean, obviously it's good to have a good finish in a tournament, but were you trying to do anything as far as the Pro Tour points as well for the championship at the end of the year?
Yeah, I was noticing I was in 7th place coming into this tournament, and it looked like 8th and 9th could possibly pass me. So I was hoping to lock in that top 8 to make sure I got a bye to the semifinals at the Pro Tour Championships.
Awesome. That's definitely a good way for the pros to earn money at the end of the year. We love that. Thank you to the Pro Tour. And I believe that's all we have right now. Anything else you would like to say to the fans, to the people in the booth?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and shout out to Innova Champion.
Thanks, guys. We'll throw it back to you. I know there's action in the field. Y'all enjoy.
Thank you, Madison, for that interview. It's fun to hear. I mean, James Conrad to just improve by 8 strokes. That is huge. And we know he's a great player. We know he's a solid player. But that just explains how challenging this course is and how it could get the best of you. But then at the same time, how quickly you can improve. Just a few more throws in bounds and bam, 8 strokes better. But wow, take a look at Simon's throw here.
Oh, nice. Coming back in bounds. A big smile, big fist pump for Simon back in the woods. Let's Zuka replay that. Look at the gap, folks. And the finish. It was a tight finish, but the skip from out of bounds to inbounds. Oh, it didn't even hit out of bounds. He landed inbounds. Nice shot.
That's incredible right there. Simon could have the opportunity to save a birdie.
And that's what we get. That's what we get out of Lizotte when he starts to take some of these risky shots. In a way, he had kind of given up. Not given up, but I mean, he was in a tough spot there. He's making a gutsy call, and he takes advantage. I mean, he's out there for a birdie opportunity. So Lizotte not quite out of it yet for that third place finish. We know Chris Clemens is on hole 18 at this point, and depending on what Chris does, and by the way, everybody at home, I do want to apologize on the Clemens Dickerson fiasco. This is Nikko's third shot. And there we go. So he's going to be able to save par possibly. But as I was saying, Chris Clemens, if he comes in with a birdie, that's going to be a course record. We'll have Madison get an interview with him. It'll be interesting to hear his perspective on things. Either way, Chris has just had an incredible day of disc golf.
And it has been just so much fun to watch the scores coming in. And got to give a shout out to UDisc for giving us the opportunity and this great technology to see what all these players are doing. And I mean, Chris Clemens has been killing it out there. So many birdies on this scorecard. And I've seen a couple of the stats pop up. You know, it's following shot by shot. And Chris Clemens has had a couple of 38-foot putts to save these birdies. So he's putting well, clearly throwing well down the fairways. And wow. And then putting together a very impressive round. And it's got to be nice to be in that second card, a little bit less pressure. But I wonder what's going through his mind now.
Well, yeah, who knows? Who knows if he even knows what the course record is? Probably. I mean, in my mind, I wouldn't be worried about that too much. I would be more worried about just solidifying my position and finishing strong, because a second place finish at this event is as big as any. I mean, you heard Steve Brinster say it is a world class event, and Chris Clemens has played world class to this point in the final round. So either way for Chris, it's a positive day. You can take big positives out of this. And as I said, Chris Clemens has moved himself from the top 32 into the top 16. So he's going to earn himself a bye at the Tour Championship. And it'll be very interesting to hear what Clemens has to say coming out of the round.
And you've got to be feeling good with that many birdies on a scorecard. And I'm sure at this point he wants to get the round over with, sign that card, and just call it a day, because it has been an impressive one. And there's McBeth from deep in the woods on the left-hand side, just punching it out, but playing safe. All he's got to do is just keep on chipping down the fairways. I mean, could pretty much start writing his name on that trophy down there at Tournament Central. This is Chris Dickerson for his birdie. Outside circle 2. Ooh.
Just that close for Dickerson there. The big birdie. Now we're going to see Lizotte come in and see if he can solidify this birdie. This would move him to 23 under par and a tie with Chris. 2 strokes back of Nikko with 2 holes to play. See if Simon can capitalize on his aggressive play.
Oh, and there we go. Roll that Zuka replay. Simon is able to card the only birdie of the group here on hole 16. Oh, and that makes up for that short little putt he had just missed on the previous hole.
It really does. Boy, Lizotte has had 5 bogeys in this round. He's 3 under par. He's in a tie for 4th with Chris Dickerson now. He's 2 strokes back of that man right there, Locastro. And it's official. Chris Clemens has come in with a par on 18. He's going to shoot that 11 under. That's going to tie the course record. And he's pretty much, depending on what Locastro can do here, going to take 2nd place. It would take 2 birdies from Nikko to come back and tie. So congratulations to Chris Clemens. We're going to get an interview with him, and we'll go to that as soon as we have Chris lined up. But in the meantime, let's take a look at hole number 17, the very gettable hole number 17, 400 feet. It's very far downhill, so it plays about 300 feet, and it's just a big hyzer. And really, as I mentioned yesterday, or excuse me, on Friday, it's all about the height. You got to put enough height on it. So if you throw it low, you're probably going to blast out of the backside of the fairway. We saw McBeth do that in the first on Friday. He went OB, he threw it too low, stayed OB, stayed long, and a couple other guys in his group were able to put a nice high hyzer on it and park the hole. So let's see what is going to happen here with Lizotte.
And I think that course map is a little bit wrong. We do have the out of bounds line on the left-hand side, so anything real short and in those trees could be out of bounds. And we see Simon skipping on the left-hand side.
He had the proper height on the disc, but he just did not aim enough to the right. So he's left himself on the far inside. He's going to have a big uphill putt to an elevated basket as well.
And I wonder if Nikko's still feeling the love today. And I'd say that's a beautiful shot. And again, it's blind shot for these players. So they have no idea. They're just relying on the reaction of the crowd. And Nikko got a few claps, but that was a park job. When this is tight, inside is going to have enough distance. Oh, and that's a nice shot.
Able to make the adjustment from yesterday. Again, it was all about the height off the tee. If you leave it low, that's when you bring in that long OB. Now, Chris Dickerson's in a tie for 4th. 2 strokes below him would mean that he could potentially miss the tour final. So he has to keep it in bounds here. He's got it low, but he's got it really stable disc. That should line up well. There we are. Back to the action right after this quick break. Tournament leader Paul McBeth missing his birdie opportunity. You can see his reaction. He's not happy about it. And now Lizotte. This is an important putt for Simon at this point. He's in a little bit of a battle with Dickerson. Just putting too much floatiness on it. So now Dickerson's going to have the opportunity to step up here and get his birdie, which would put him then one stroke ahead of Lizotte. So still a little bit of jockeying for position here for these solo versus tie finishes. Really, at that point, it's all about pride and money. That's all there is to it, and mostly pride in that case.
Isn't that what every tournament's about? Pride and money. Nice putt there from Chris. This is the time to be hitting those putts, and that is a beautiful birdie. This is a great view of just showing how much elevation gain it is from Nikko's position right here to the basket.
It's a severe elevation gain upward. Nikko's got to just elevate that arm. That putt up. And Nikko's done it fabulously. And Nikko's playing very, very well today. Just the one bogey that's going to put him at 8 under par, which if Chris Clemens didn't play today, he would have what would be one of the lowest scores on the course, along with McBeth and a few others, including Brinster and James Conrad. Let's take a look at 18. We finally made it, folks. Hole 18, 775 feet downhill. One of the most daunting finishing holes in the entire world. It's a beautiful view, but it's a tough hole. You got to get it down here into the open. And depending on what side of the fairway you're on, you're going to either take a sidearm to the green, or if you're on the far right, you're going to be able to take a backhand little baby turnover into the green. And I will never forget in my battle 2 years ago with Michael Johansson, the feeling of standing on this 18th green. Now, me and MJ were in a heated battle at that point. It was so much fun. But either way, the guy's got to put it in bounds and put it on the green, and this will all be over with.
We are going to throw it over to Madison. She's got Chris Clemens, who's now sitting tied with Nikko.
Course record.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Chris Clemens just after the final round at Fox Run, where he shot the course record. He's tied with Calvin Heimberg with an 11 down in the clubhouse. How do you feel about it?
It feels pretty nice. I kind of just finished, so I'm going to think about it a little bit more, but it was a really good day out there, for sure.
I saw you going 6 down in the first 6. That's pretty awesome. Feels really good coming out, shooting hot like that. Really good momentum for the rest of the round.
For sure. The first day we played here, I think I started with 3 birdies, and so I kind of wanted to do that again, and then I just kind of kept it going. So I was like, okay, like it gives you some breathing room when you get a bunch of birdies. You know, you throw more free, you throw with more power, and you don't really think about bogeys. Bogeys don't really matter when you have a bunch of birdies.
Exactly, you have room to spare. I noticed you were no stranger to shooting hot. Last year at Worlds, you put down 2 7s and a 6, so it was only a matter of time before you shot the 11. So congratulations. I believe you scored second place. Unless Chris or Simon can do an eagle and an ace, you are solidified for second place, so congratulations. Anything else you want to say?
I just want to thank my sponsors. I want to thank Jeff and everybody for coming out watching. I love playing here, and I can't wait to come back next year.
Cool. Thank you. We're going to throw it back to the action as the lead card comes in on 18.
Thanks to both of them. And you can tell Chris Clemens isn't typically giving interviews right after the round. As he said, he still needed a little bit of time to process what happened. I can process it for him. It's fantastic, my friend. Go and enjoy it and put a big smile on your face. I'll tell you right now, though, a tie for second could be in Chris's future, as Nikko was nearly able to stay safe. And Simon's going to go huge.
Oh, and let's see this. It is hyzering up just perfectly.
Oh,
Is
look,
it
it's
past the
perfect.
tree?
It's perfect.
Are you
Kidding me?
Hey, Jinx. That is such an incredible shot from Simon. I mean,
just do that every time.
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
if
he
you've
made it
got
look
the
so
skills.
easy.
Wow. Amazing shot.
That's right.
Here we go. Our leader, Paul McBeth, just has to walk it into the clubhouse. And I believe that's an ESP swirl force. And that is the error if you're going to make any errors. He's way down the fairway. He's out of bounds, but it doesn't matter here. All 4 players are off the tee pad. We're going to be right back after this quick break.
You know, the Mach 7's a really great disc golf basket, but you know, it also makes a really good step stool. You know, say you got something up high, you need to reach. Oh, God.
And as you said, Nikko was very close to that out of bounds line on the left-hand side, but he is safely in bounds. He is just 1 stroke back of Chris Clemens, who's sitting in second place. Nikko needs to make up a stroke here. We're sitting on this par 4. Nikko needs to get close and give himself a birdie look if he wants that second place tie.
Gotta sit.
Oh, and again, he's going to be very close to the OB line, but he gets the green flag, so he's safe. Still, that opportunity to tie up Chris Clemens for second place is still on the table.
Yeah, it certainly is. So Nikko is safely in the Tour Finals as well at this point. And as I was saying, off the tee, Nikko's disc was about to go out of bounds. He hits on a spike hyzer angle, kicks backwards, stays in bounds. Now he's going to have an opportunity to finish in a T2 here at one of the most difficult tournaments of the entire year. And Nikko, as I was mentioning before, has not had a great year with high finishes at our big events. But this one, certainly, he's got that all locked up. Dickerson is just a perfect angle. And he puts it a little long. Dickerson, as long as he's able to get up and in for par from that point, he will certainly make the Pro Tour Finals as well. All of our big names are going to make it into those finals. Now, Val, McBeth mentioned the mistake he should have made after he said, just throw it down OB. And that's what he did today.
On the left-hand side.
Yeah, on the left-hand side. Throw it in the parking lot, pitch it up for par, and walk away with another title.
And that's the name of the game. There we go. Paul McBeth just has to tap it in here. And he's going to be taking home that beautiful trophy for Discraft's Green Mountain Championship. This is going to be his first time to claim this title, and he did it in a dominating force. Wow. And there's Simon putting for eagle, but still giving himself a tester here for his birdie putt.
And just continuing to run the numbers, if Chris Dickerson is unable to make his putt and Simon makes him, they will tie for fourth place. And if Nico's able to make his putt, he will shoot a 9 under par today and be able to tie with Chris Clemens. So, Nico has played very solid. Nico had a bogey earlier in the day, but he's made a lot of long putts. And let's see if Nikko Locastro can finish this tournament with one final big putt and a second place tie with Chris Clemens.
And just short and a bit of a roll away, but that was his chance to tie it up. Nico is going to be taking home third place today. Good, solidly fought round for this final round today. I mean, great putts. His drives were on point. He earned his third place finish today. Leaving it all up to that last putt to see where it was actually going to finish him. And congratulations to Chris Dickerson on an amazing weekend. It was so much fun to watch him play on the lead card, live coverage, all of these rounds.
Finishing solo fourth at this point. Lizotte with this make cannot pass him. And Lizotte will finish in solo fifth. So a solid weekend for Lizotte. As I said, it says really a solid season for Simon. Just too many little mistakes costing Simon here. And there's Nico tapping in his par. He will finish in third place. And there you are. There is your champion of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship. And here comes the tournament director, Jeff Spring.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2019 Green Mountain champion, Paul McBeth. Interview? All right. So, Paul, first in circle one greens in regulation, first in scramble rate, first in birdie percentage. If the weather would have been like maybe a tiny bit warmer, you would have been first in circle one X putting as well. The first next to position mean more?
Well, I mean, this is more important, yeah, I think I slipped up on some putts out there, which I really wanted, but once I missed the first one, it's kind of like, I don't have to try to be perfect anymore there on the green, so.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm just glad I was able to win.
Yeah, and speaking of firsts, besides the inaugural Pro Tour Finals out here, is this your first win out here?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, how's that feel?
Feels good. These were the courses we played for Worlds last year, so it was good to come out here and actually shoot a good round out here. I feel like 4 good rounds. We had 5 last year and kind of slipped up, but yeah, feels good.
Yeah, so you put together a pretty solid year on the Pro Tour season. What's next?
3 more events. USDGC is my next one, last major of the year, and then N-Tour, NT final in Georgia, and then the Pro Tour final in Charlotte.
Cool.
3 more.
And then last but not least, what flavor Cliff Bar today?
I had 2 today. I had on the first hole, I think a peanut butter filled one, and then white chocolate macadamia, the classic one.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul McBeth.
And thank you, AJ, for that interview. I mean, he is on top of it. He hears a crinkle of a snack bar and he wants to know what flavor. But that is what fueled Paul McBeth to win today. Any reactions after that interview?
Well, I mean, what can you really say? You know, I'll text Paul a little later and congratulate him. But I mean, just looking at the board, right? It's a 9-stroke victory. Now we see Paul win all the time. He doesn't typically win by 9 strokes. These are the best players in the world, and he was still dominant on another level this weekend. Think all the way back to right around this time on Friday. He's dominating. He steps onto the 18th tee pad. He takes a triple bogey. Since then, he did not bogey another hole. He only missed, which is statistically is still great. He only missed, 4 putts inside circle 1X. They happen to all be in this round. Had he not done that, he would have set the course record as well. It's on another level. A couple things to keep an eye on. Chris Clemens played very well. Nikko Locastro played well. So as we go into that USDGC turn, which is the big one for all of these guys, where does that put them? The name down there, with a number 6 next to it, Ricky Wysocki. What does Ricky have in store for us for these last 3 events? There's a lot of Ricky fans out there, including myself, that would love to see Ricky go down to Rock Hill and really put on a real good show and give himself an opportunity to take home a title that means so much to all of us players out on the disc golf tour. On the ladies' side, we got the women's nationals coming up, and I'm looking at Christine Tatar to play well in that one and maybe take home both the Canadian nationals and the U.S. nationals. Yes, I'm so bad with names. I'm so sorry. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm all done. Val, you close the show.
We got to give a congratulations to all the players that we see there in the top 10 on that leaderboard. It was a great weekend of disc golf. We are so fortunate to be in these seats, and thank you to everybody that has been watching along. Thanks for sharing the live coverage. We know that we have the Tour Championships for the Disc Golf Pro Tour coming up in just a few weeks. We're going to be covering that live as well, so stay tuned for all that action. Got to give a shout out to Jeff Spring, the tournament director, for putting on an amazing performance. Congratulations to Paul McBeth. Awesome shooting out there. I'm Valarie Jenkins. This is Nate Doss. Thanks for watching today, guys. Have a great night and roll those Zuka replays. We're done.
Boom.